All right. I say let's get started. I see some people jumping in, but that's okay. We will get going. And as I mentioned, you guys know I love to make these sessions interactive. So questions, comments, anything, please put them in the chat. We'll read them throughout the whole session. As I mentioned, today's going to be about strategy, a little bit more than products, but we will have time at the end to answer any questions on products if you needed anything. And if you don't know me, so I'm Michelle Spina. I'm the director of residential product marketing here. Been in solar for over 13 years now on the sales side. So have been on the solar coaster and seen those ups and downs. I was just thinking yesterday that we're in a really good time for solar because it's getting back into this value selling piece. And because people are so interested in smart energy and not just saving money and solar. And so I think we have an opportunity here, especially with this good, better, best sales strategy piece that we're going to talk about today. So let's dive in. I will have some questions for this group as we go. Feel free to stop me and have a discussion however you'd like. But really, our goal here at Solaredge is we want to help salespeople get paid faster. We have the ability to have more flexibility on the roof with your design. So what we see is less change orders, less main panel upgrades with our system because we have quite a bit of design flexibility and the ability to avoid things like main panel upgrades. We want you to get paid more. So with that flexibility, you have the ability to add more modules on the roof, really optimize what's happening, maximize the roof planes. We don't have to avoid shade, right? So you don't have to limit yourself to putting modules where there's shaded roof planes. So you can really offset that utility bill for the homeowner. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to get paid more there by selling larger systems and then get more referrals. So that's really what we're going to talk about quite a bit today is how do you lock in that customer for the lifetime to really follow them through their energy appetite and their energy journey. It becomes a much easier job when you have a referral base. And I think that for the veterans on the line, you can probably agree if you're not having to start from scratch with those organic leads and instead you have a base of referrals, it's quite a bit easier. So we have this whole ecosystem of products. I want this team to remember that every time you sell a Solaredge inverter, it comes with power optimizers. So those are optimizing what's happening on the roof. Each module works independently, so it mitigates shading concerns, obstructions, but it's really the highest efficiency system on the market. So when you're selling Solaredge, you can be confident that you have the most efficient system out there. We also have our batteries. We'll talk about those a little bit more today too. But we also have EV chargers. This is an AC EV charger, level 2 fast charger, compatible with all cars on the market right now. The thing that I love about it, if anybody has an EV charger at your house right now, you know that you need either a 240 volt outlet on your wall, or you need to wire this directly into the main service panel. With this EV charger, because it's part of the Solaredge home ecosystem, you can wire it into the inverter and it can share that breaker space with the solar system. So it's integrated into the solar system, which makes it easier for your homeowners, less cost when it comes to the electrical side of an EV charger, like the actual electrical input of, a 240 volt outlet or wiring into the main service panel. We also have load controllers. So this is kind of a go-between between a smart panel and a dumb panel, right? So a dumb service panel is really just making sure that your electricity is running into your house. A smart panel would be this allows you to read all the individual circuits in the home and manage those individually, right? If we've sold anything like a span panel, that's what a smart panel would be. A load controller would be let's just manage those heavy devices. So I want to be able to turn off my air conditioner remotely. I want to, in an outage, I want that air conditioner to automatically shut off so that my battery is not draining. So those load controllers are being placed on those individual loads that we really want to manage. So you select which loads to manage. This is all being managed through the My Solaredge app. So your homeowners can see that whole ecosystem and how it's communicating together and how that energy is flowing on a real-time basis. Last thing about equipment before we get into strategy, I just want to level set to say the home hub inverter is where this flexibility takes place. So if that homeowner that you're talking to wants the flexibility to add batteries later, EV charger later, something like that, this home hub allows them to do that. It allows them to grow with their energy appetite. And so this is the inverter you want to really standardize on, so that when you have a homeowner that just wants solar today, but they might want a battery or something later, you can go back to them and you don't have to swap out this inverter. So it's really important that the home hub is allowing for that flexibility. It also has a built-in production and consumption meter. So I kind of just say this inverter is like a inverter deluxe anyways, because it has the ability for the homeowner to manage their production, how much their solar is producing, and then their consumption, how much their home is using. And they're able to see that side by side so that they can manage their habits a little bit better. This is also manufactured in Austin, Texas. So this is a domestic content inverter. It has more robust quality built into it too. So we now use automotive grade capacitors. Really nerdy way of saying these can withstand much more extreme conditions in all of our inverters now. And so we have a very high quality inverter coming out of that Austin, Texas facility for you. And this will be on all of your residential projects. All right, so now let's talk about strategy. So I want the whole session to be prefaced around this question in the back of your mind. What is the difference between a solar sales rep and a smart energy expert? Because we want to become that smart energy expert. So does anybody have an idea on kind of what that difference is? What would a smart energy expert do that a solar sales rep may not do? If you want to put it in the chat. Educate. Ooh, that just summarizes really the whole thing. It's really being a consultant of energy as opposed to going in and really having the mindset of I'm going to lowball my proposal so that I can beat out any other proposal that this person has on the table, right? Like we don't want to be that low cost leader when we come into the house. We want to sell value to the homeowner. One other thing to think about, and I don't know about you, but when I was selling and I was going through these appointments every single day, my appointment cadence was exactly the same every single time. It was like I knew the flow of the conversation. I even tried to use the same dumb jokes to try and get the homeowner to laugh and break down the barriers and build rapport. And it felt like started feeling like Groundhog Day, right? We start building these habits. And so what I just want to challenge this group with today is if maybe this a takeaway from this training is one new question that you can ask a homeowner, one new strategy that you can bring into your consultation just to change it up a little bit. Because if we can continue to refine our strategy, what we see is higher close rates, and it becomes easier for you. So I know it's really easy to fall back into habits and do that same consultation every time. What I would challenge the group is maybe there's one question that comes out of today, because we're going to really focus on needs analysis, that you can bring to the table that might change the dynamic a little bit. Okay, so a couple other things in terms of mindset to consider. The future really is smart home, and it's not just solar. So as we know, homeowners are getting better at using smart energy devices. Just overall, it used to be just for the younger generation. Now for really every generation, we're getting better at those smart energy devices, whether it's a phone or an Alexa or even an electric vehicle or one of these, smart cars. But approximately in 2024, 73.5% of households are going to have smart home technology. And even these new homes that are being built, right? They have smart home technology built into them already. It's a selling piece for a developer to build a home with smart home technology. 78% of potential home buyers are willing to pay more for a smart home. So we're getting into this dynamic where you can start having a conversation about smart home and not just solar. Another interesting piece to think about is what's the actual cost of home improvement projects? Because if you're thinking about it just on the base level, solar is a home improvement project. We're a little bit biased, right? Solar is also the home improvement projects that's going to give you that control, flexibility, freedom, safety against the utility and whatever they're doing, right? And against blackouts a lot of the time. But let's just be unbiased right now and say that it's a home improvement project. Okay. Homeowners pay a lot for home improvement projects. So if you see here, here's just some examples. My challenge to the group is if homeowners are paying this much for home improvement projects, why are we still apologetic about the cost of solar projects? Why do we still want to go in and give the lowest possible price? I would argue that it might be a mindset issue with us and not with the homeowner sometimes. Homeowners value home improvement and a lot of times are willing to pay for the value if we can show it. And so leading with a value proposition as opposed to a savings proposition sometimes for you is going to yield higher contract values. So let's talk about needs analysis. How does that shift when we're a smart energy expert? 3 steps. We want to first understand that homeowner's motivations, uncover the homeowner's concerns, and then we want to align with the priorities. I want to be really clear today that what I'm not saying is sell the homeowner something they don't need. What I am saying is uncover the priorities of the homeowner so that what you offer them is actually the smart energy offering that their home needs. So let's first talk about homeowner motivations. So let's talk about some discovery questions that you use. Are there any ones that you go to every time that gets you the answers you need for that homeowner? And remember, whole goal of this training is to pick up a couple new questions to put into discovery for us, whether that's from me or from our peers here. So please put in the chat, if you can, any discovery questions that you use that have been effective for you. Because we want to thought share as well. So while you're doing that, I want to share a couple here that I like. So what I like too is broad ones. Let's start broad so that we're not asking yes or no questions. We're not asking just open-ended questions, but what we call here at Solaredge, thoughtful questions. So what would thoughtful questions be? Questions that are big and really elicit a large response for the homeowner that allows you to sit back and have that homeowner really tell you everything that they want to share. So one question, what are your top priorities when making your decision to go solar? So that's a big question because that could lead to several different areas, right? It could lead to, well, I have blackouts, well, I want savings, those types of things, like what their priorities are for the project. Or it could go to, well, top priorities when making my decision is that my husband agrees with the proposal, that we trust the sales consultant, that the company is reputable. So it can go several different areas. So the way this is phrased can actually be a broad answer. So what are your top priorities when making your decision to go solar? Besides solar, what other energy efficient into recently. Another broad one, because this can go, I looked for an Alexa, I looked for a smart thermostat, I looked for a new iPhone, something like that. But it could go, well, I'm getting an EV. It could go, I have an EV, I'm looking into an EV charger. Those types of things. I could go into, well, I'm trying to get a split unit system for my air conditioning so that it's more efficient. So there's several different ways it could go. Yeah, keep putting those questions in the chat box. So what were you hoping to accomplish by meeting with me today? Really good one, really broad one, right? That's going to elicit a lot of thoughts for the homeowner. Great. Describe what your ideal smart energy home includes over the next 5 years. This is where that smart energy expert piece comes in a bit. Earlier we talked about what is the difference between a smart energy expert and a consultant, and it's really education. One other thing I like to think about is you're thinking about now and the future. You're not thinking about just now. So I always like to kind of put a bracket around 5 years because a lot can change in 5 years. But what we're selling that homeowner today can benefit them for the long term. And so I like to ask, describe your smart energy home, what that includes over the next 5 years, so we can build that value. So as we get into like bill review, I like to ask, and I'm sure that this team does this, but I like to ask kind of where do you anticipate it being? So tell me about what your electricity bill, tell me about your electricity bill over the past couple of years. Have you seen an increase? We know the answer to that, right? Usually, usually it's yes. Usually that's why they're meeting with us as well. Their electricity bills increased. But I like to ask, where do you anticipate it being in the next couple of years if you don't make a change? Because that will allow that homeowner to answer their own question. Another great question coming into chat. Think about the last time your power went out. How did that affect you? Broad question, but that's also bringing in feelings, emotions, right? Not just something like, when was the last time you had an outage? Right? That's a open-ended, simple answer question. Well, 6 months ago, right? That doesn't bring in any emotion. What Chris said, think about the last time your power went out and how that affected you. That's a thoughtful, large question. That's what we want to get to with these discovery questions. One note on the thoughtful, broad question, disclaimer. It's going to elicit more awkward silences because that homeowner has to think about their answer. Has anybody, raise your hand if you've had this situation where maybe, Chris, you ask this question and that homeowner pauses before they answer because they're thinking about their answer because it's a big question. Just know that those pauses and those silences are okay. Keep them there. Keep that pause there so the homeowner can answer. Don't try to fill that space with helping with the answer, backtracking, anything like that. Keep it there and have that homeowner, feel it and answer it and take their time. Okay, so number 2, we want to uncover any homeowner concerns. So before I go into bill review, I want to be able to flesh out the objections, the concerns, the top of mind things. Every homeowner, whether they've gotten a proposal or not before, are coming into this conversation with misconceptions, with questions. Maybe they're intimidated by the consultation because they don't understand solar so much. But I think that we can all sit in a place where if you have gotten this homeowner to sit down for a consultation, if they've allowed you in their home, if they've agreed to a phone call consultation that's going to last and take 45 minutes, 30 minutes of their time, they're interested in solar, right? Think about you as a consumer. Would you sign up for a consultation and waste your time on something you're not actually interested in or thinking about getting along the line, whether it's today or a couple weeks from now or a year from now? Setting up that consultation is a time commitment and a commitment from that homeowner to say, hey, I'm interested. So it's up to us to close that deal, right? But just know that no one's letting you into their house unless they're actually interested and they're looking to make a decision. So uncovering the homeowner concerns from the beginning. Why haven't you gone solar previously? Have you gotten other quotes and why have you not gone solar previously? What, if anything, is holding you back from making a decision today? Now, this is also considered a trial close, right? But that is something that you can ask in the beginning just so that they can put it all on the table. What, if anything, is holding you back from making a decision today? Well, I have to know how much it costs. I have to look into the company and research them a bit more. I have to get my husband or wife involved. I have to get my tax advisor involved. I have to get a loan approval and see what loans I want to do, whether it's yours or third party. I need to understand what a TPO is or a PPA versus a loan. Any of these things could come up when you ask this question, which is awesome because you can prioritize what you're going to talk about. And then what are the top questions you still have about switching to solar? Well, I don't really even understand how solar works with the utility. Am I still connected to it? Am I not? I need to understand how much of my utility bill can offset. Am I going to have a utility bill after I go solar? Or am I not? These are some questions that a homeowner might have. If my power goes out, do I still have power if I have solar? These are all things that are misconceptions that are top of mind. And you could potentially even preface this segment by saying, look, I know that solar is new for most homeowners. And so I want to make sure that I'm uncovering your questions and your concerns first so I can address them as we go. So that it kind of breaks that barrier to say, look, nobody knows about solar typically. The people I talk to, the homeowners, they don't usually know that much about solar. So I'm here to answer your questions. All right, so let's go with number 3. After we get all these questions out, and we are probably going to have more questions than that, right? And just a reminder, keep throwing your questions in the questions box that you use if you have them, because we want to hear them. But after you've asked all those questions, you've really fleshed out the concerns, the priorities, what that homeowner is looking into, what their smart energy ecosystem will look like 5 years from now. You can now align with their priorities before making a recommendation. So throughout this conversation, you want to focus around the motivations that you uncovered as opposed to making assumptions. So that goes kind of back to that same play we always have, like going into a consultation and having the same talk track, having the same lines, having the same questions, and always making the assumption of, okay, well, my goal is to have the lowest utility bill possible here. Don't make those assumptions. Remain curious in the conversation so that you can actually build something that that homeowner really wants, whether it's savings or it's value. Understand what's important and not important. So, great example. If that homeowner is not getting an electric vehicle, right, then you're not going to pitch an EV charger. That's not important. Don't even bring it up. If that homeowner doesn't have blackouts in their area, and when you ask them this question about, think about the last time your power went out, how did that affect you? And they say, we have never had the power go out in 10 years. And you follow up with saying something like, wow, that's great. We're seeing power outages come up more and more. Do you see that being a concern in the future, or do you think that the grid is pretty stable? And if that homeowner says, I don't see an issue with that, I don't think that's an issue, then don't jam a battery down their throat, right? Or a backup battery, because it's just going to be a value prop that is not important to them. And then you are able now to align with the customer priorities to say, what does that best solution look like for this customer? So this is where the good, better, best comes in. And we want to lead with the best option. One other piece here, just to wrap it all in before we go through, the recommended solutions phase, just to wrap with needs analysis and bill review, because those are the 2 steps before recommended solution, right? In that needs analysis phase, we get all those questions answered. We use our active listening, remain curious, and develop in our mind, okay, this is the best solution for the homeowner. We want to make sure to drill into them the value of switching to solar by helping them to understand how their current utility works, how that changes with an ecosystem. And then also that question of what do you see the next 5 years happening with your electricity bill? Do you see that going up if you don't make a change to solar? And what's your plan there? So that allows you to have that bill review phase. But I like to use my Solaredge in that bill review because as that homeowner starts answering their own questions about, yeah, that utility bill is going to go up. I know that I'm going to have higher electricity. I don't know how much they're going to raise the electricity bill. I know that they do increase the rates, but they never tell us, right? So that's kind of building in that unpredictability a little bit. You can show my Solaredge as the alternative. So, Mr. Homeowner, look, you have told me here that you don't understand where the rate increases come from. You don't really know how to read your utility bill. Nobody really does. You didn't realize that there are delivery and transmission charges and charges on your bill that aren't just generation of electricity. What I want to show you is the alternative. With my Solaredge, you can see in real time your energy production and where that energy is going. And your system, because it's a full ecosystem that talks to each other, is going to actually prioritize where that energy is going based on what is most advantageous to you. So if you want to charge your battery with it, charge your car with it before you send it back to the utility grid, your energy ecosystem is going to do that automatically on your behalf. And so this actually you can use in that bill review to show the alternative and the control that a solar and an energy ecosystem will bring to your homeowners. All right, so let's go with good, better, best. Now, this homeowner, let's say, has told you, yes, I have outages. So answering this question of when was the last time your power went out, how did it affect you? Okay, we had an outage 6 months ago. We had to throw away all of our food in the fridge. My kids were going nuts for 6 hours. And we have had intermittent outages because the utility decides to turn off for PSP events every so often without much notice. And so we're seeing some grid instability. We have outages in our area. We have an electric car, but we just charge at a public charging station. We don't have an EV charger. But we have seen our electricity bill go up because sometimes we plug that EV directly into the house just for slow charging, right? So maybe the homeowner says something like that within their discovery. To me, what that means is solar plus at least one or two batteries. I would say probably two usually, depending on the system size, and an EV charger is what I'm going to lead with because what they told me was they have outages, they have an EV, and their electricity bill has gone up. So I'm going to oversize the solar a little bit, lead with a 2 battery backup system and an EV charger. Because this allows you to say, Mr. Homeowner, what you told me, what I heard from you was you would like to no longer have outages in your house. It would be nice to have fast charging at your house for your EV charger, right? So you don't have to go to a public charging station. And your electricity bill's gone up because you do charge the car sometimes just on slow charge. And so I want to increase your solar system a little bit to offset that increase in electricity. So for this reason, this is what I've offered for you. Solar plus 2 batteries plus EV charger. Okay, so that is what I consider the best option for the homeowner, best based on their needs analysis. Okay, so the homeowner comes back and says, whoa, okay, that's way more than I thought solar was going to be. And so I don't know if I can quite do that amount right now. Great, this gives you now the flexibility to pare down. So maybe this is the better option. Okay, Mr. Homeowner, well, we put two batteries on your system because you said you had outages. When was the last time you had a longer outage, like an outage that lasted more than that 6 hour time block? Well, that was the first time in ten years we've had that outage. We have some PSP events. Would you say that that backup energy is a showstopper that you really, really want that on your system today? Well, in terms of cost, that's too high. I think let's pare down the batteries. Okay, so that maybe the better option for this homeowner is just the EV charger and the solar. And just remember that solar is going to be a little bit oversized to offset the EV charging for that car. Great, so that's the better solution. Remember, that homeowner then can come back and add batteries later because they have the home hub inverter. So this allows you to go back and sell this homeowner later on. Now that homeowner says, actually, I don't think I need the EV charger. Public charging stations is fine. I think I just want to go solar because uh, my wife wants to really save on the utility bill. That's what her priority is. I want to make sure that we can do that. Then you pare it down again, and solar now looks like an absolute piece of cake for this homeowner because you started with that best option and you've pared down from there. So now you have solar with the home hub. The homeowner can add items on later as they want. So maybe you put on your calendar, I'm going to follow up with this homeowner 6 months from now, or maybe I'm going to go to this homeowner's house at the installation day and see if he wants to add that EV charger. Right. So this allows you to do that. So the good option is kind of the base level. But if you start with that best option, it gives you that flexibility to pare down. And what we see here with this strategy is higher close rates. Because if you start with the top, it's always easier to pare down than to add on. So, as opposed to starting with solar and adding on the EV charger and adding on the batteries, start with the top based on needs analysis and pare down. Just a quick note here, and obviously this is an estimate, but think about adding what this adds to your initial sales price and your actual commissions. So $30,000 solar system on average, that's a pretty big system, right? $15,000 battery, $12,000 solar expansion plus EV charger because you're going to offset that system with additional solar to charge the car. You're looking at nearly 2 times your contract value. So it gives you higher commissions. It allows you to build and bigger systems, larger projects. So just basing your whole conversation around value will allow you to sell larger systems, higher contract values. One last note here is growing with that homeowner's energy appetite. So this is how you hold on to those homeowners for the lifetime. So today, maybe this homeowner we talked to just wanted to go with the good option, right? With the solar plus home hub. So today they just went solar with the home hub. A year down the line, these outages become more prominent. You reach out, they want a home battery. Awesome, you can add that to the system. Year 3, maybe they decide they want that EV charger with 3 kW more solar, so you have an expansion opportunity. Year 5, maybe some of these load controllers and a second battery because they understand the whole ecosystem now. They understand that they need a second battery. So you have this, 5-year plan for this one particular homeowner, but in America, in the US, homeowners actually usually move out of their house between year 5 and year 8. And so now you are going to this new home. This same homeowner understands the value of the ecosystem. You can now sell them a whole new ecosystem on their new house when they move. So this is how you just hold on to your homeowners a little bit more strongly for referrals. All right, so I talked a lot. I got really worked up on this topic, and so I hope that there was something that you took from it. I just want to remind you that we want you to get paid faster, get paid more, and get more referrals. Any way we can help you do that with strategies, with design, we want to do that for you. And just to recap, was there any question or anything that came out of this that you thought, you know what, I'm going to incorporate this into my conversation? I would love to hear if anything came from it as I look at some of the questions that came into the chat as we kept going. If there was a question that you heard that you want to start using, let us know. So bidirectional vehicle charger, launch dates, pilot projects. So we are, it's still on the roadmap, but because most of these electric vehicles have not allowed for bidirectional yet, we're still on hold because we're waiting for those cars to come onto the market. Just a note, we are also now working on our next generation battery, which you'll see probably the beginning of next year come out. And so a lot of focus has been on that next gen battery as well. All right. Let me know. I'm now here for you with any product questions, any other questions that you want me to address today, anything that you would like us to discuss. Oh, Brian, I saw this one in here earlier. I missed it. So some homeowners now want to reduce their natural gas consumption. You can do this with a heat pump and increase the electrical load, which translates to more solar panels. Yes, that's a really good point. And not even just the heat pump. Like we're seeing people, speaking of home improvements, moving to electrical stoves, electrical ovens, quite a bit, creating a full electric home, which is a really big benefit for us in solar. So that might be another question that you bring up in your consultation too. When we talk about the energy appetite in the next 5 years, they might be looking at something like that, building a full electric home. Good point. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we will end this for today, but I hope you did get a couple of nuggets out of this. If you do use any questions that came up today, I would love to hear about it. So feel free to reach out. I'm going to put in my chat real quick my email address just in case you need it for anything at all. And then we, of course, always have saleselite@solaredge.com as well for any support. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. We will talk soon. Happy selling.